everyone, our loyal audiences of CNN. I'm here as the host of today's program called Mincha Mini Talk with Cahya. I'm Cahya Kholifah Putri, and today we're going to talk about the culture. And here we are accompanied with expert of this subject specialized on its proper section. And without any further ado, I would like to introduce to you guys about our guest for today. So please welcome our guest for today, Mr. Fasha Aprich, Mr. Ariq Alqosstra, and Mrs. Ervhyta Syalinda as the culture ambassador. Okay, before we start our interview, I would like to thank all of you guys for coming here today. And on these opportunities, I would like to ask some question about culture. For the first question, what is your opinion about the culture itself? We start from Mr. Fasha Aprich.
In my opinion, culture is a characteristic of the group or communication custom that needs to be preserved from generation to generation.
Okay, that sounds great. How about you, Mr. Ariq?
Regarding to the question, actually, it's about the opinion, my personal opinion about cultures. As Mr. Fasha have already talked about it, culture itself is like it's being preserved by some certain or even people.
Yes.
In terms of like guarding its culture, and in terms of preserving it, I think the culture itself it's really tend to be like a unique, somewhat of like certainties. For some people to declare them unique, they could use culture inside of it. And as we know, in Indonesia, there's actually like a lot of cultures, and every different show with it, it comes from lots of different people, of course, and it really defines what beautiful in different show itself.
Yeah.
And in culture, I think like culture could really imply on lots of people and really apply lots of values into it. So that regarding the question, that would be my answer.
Okay, that sounds really amazing. Alright, how about you, Mrs. Ervhyta?
Culture in Indonesia very diverse and very unique, and we will also have many culture because territory in Indonesia very large.
Alright, thank you guys for your answer. I would like to next question. The second question is, what is your point of view about the different type of culture, especially in Bengkulu?
There is one culture that famous in Bengkulu, namely is Tabut. Tabut is a traditional ceremony of people of Bengkulu to commemorate martyrdom of the Prophet Muhammad SAW, grandson Hussein Ali bin Abi Thalib in war.
Oh, Tabur. Okay. What about you, Mr. Ariq?
Regarding to the question as well, it's asking about what's my regarding my point of view in terms of different show, lots of different shows, especially cultures in Bengkulu.
Yes.
And as we know, as general, culture itself, it could be divided by lots of things, as well as like it's not only the dances, it's not only the traditional dances, it's not only the traditional songs, it's not only the traditional wearings or some stuff. And in Bengkulu, we've already had a lot of it, and as well as in Bengkulu, there's a lot of it, but it also kind of defines us as a lot of identity for us to use, because like at the same time those different identities could also bring us together. That's the whole point of knowing the culture itself, because if we don't know of what our culture itself, as I've already talked about, is some sort of identity, we need to know that, of course, and if we don't know that, we wouldn't really know who ourselves is. And I think lots of difference, it really brings a lot of value in terms of like uniting us, even though there's a lot of difference inside of Bengkulu regarding especially in culture. That would be my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Ariq. Okay, and what's your opinion, Ms. Ervhyta?
In my opinion, differences are not an obstacle, and different can be matter of pride. For example, kain besuret using Arabic calligraphy.
Oh, okay. I would really like to hear more about it, but we'll be right back after this break.
Shopee. Shopee COD, Shopee COD.
Bayar langsung di tempat.
Tanpa tabungan, tanpa rekening.
Pakai Shopee COD.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Mincha Mini Talk with Cahya, and we're going to continue our interview about culture and jumping into another question. So the question is, what do you think about the influence of globalization on culture, especially in Indonesia?
Globalization gave rise to various problems in the field of culture. For example, the loss of kinship and mutual cooperation.
Oh, alright. And what do you think, Mr. Ariq?
Personally, for me, the impact of globalization regarding to the topic of culture, I think from the globalization, from the word itself, it means like things went global, and I think that's where such a lot of different things around the world intertwine in each other sections, and I think that could be intertwined as well in sections of culture. And I think the influence of globalization itself, it could bring both a negative and positive impact. In terms of positive impact, we would surely like to know about other nations' culture and something like that. But at the same time, the negative effect of it is also that sometimes we tend to only know the other nation, but yeah, shamefully, not really knowing our own cultures, and that would be a great loss for Indonesia especially. And when you think it like that, when it comes to culture, yes, we have a lot of it, but if we don't preserve it, we'll just lose it for not using it. I think that would be really shameful for us to not know of our own culture. By speaking of it, we have a lot, but if we don't preserve it, it'll all be lost. I think that would be one of the most warnings, I think, for all the people in Indonesia. It's like we really need to do that in terms of like preserving our culture and preserving for our next generation, especially. So that would be my answer.
Thank you, Mr. Ariq. And what do you think, Ms. Ervhyta?
I think the influence of the globalization is the many young people forget their own culture.
Okay, alright. For the last question, I want to know, like, what is your suggestion on how to conserve culture, especially in Indonesia?
My advice is to remember the date of the culture event, introduce the culture to other people, preserve the culture.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Fasha. And you, Mr. Ariq?
In my opinion, about my own suggestion for the subject of how we can actually properly conserve our lots of different types of culture. From personally myself, I think that the resocialization of many long lost cultures is really needed for a new generation. And I think for this generation, they tend to forget about it. But yes, that's when we're going to take actions on, because like on resocializing it, we could really bring back those long lost cultures that we could discover again for us to use, as well as for knowing our own identity of many of being somewhat of someone who has lots of different types of culture, especially in Indonesia. And I think resocializing would be the main or point of the somewhat of a plan for us to use in terms of like reviving those lost of culture. I think that would be my answer.
That sounds great, Mr. Ariq. And you, Miss Ervhyta, sorry.
We can introduce this culture to other people and not be ashamed this culture itself.
Okay, so that is the last section of the interview for today. I would like to say thank you very much, especially for our culture ambassador, Mr. Fasha, Mr. Ariq, and Miss Ervhyta. And for you guys who's watching this video, I would like to say thank you so much. and see you in another interview with Mincha. Bye!